All right, Sagar, what's on your radar?
Yesterday, when I was preparing for the show, I noticed Alan Dershowitz's name was trending. That's usually a sign they said something which pissed off resistance liberals, but I looked into it just in case, and actually came away stunned. Dershowitz is in the midst of a campaign to try and clear his name after Jeffrey Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre accused him of once receiving sexual favors from her at one of the deceased monster's properties. Now, you may remember Giuffre as the victim who alleges that she was forced to perform sexual favors for Prince Andrew of the United Kingdom, prompting a disastrous interview for the prince with the BBC, in which he claims he's never even met Giuffre before, despite the existence of that photo, which shows his arm wrapped around her midriff. Andrew, for the record, claimed in that interview that the photo was doctored and now is stonewalling the FBI, who seek to interview him on the subject, as we covered here earlier. Now, Giuffre's accusations against Dershowitz have come under renewed scrutiny after the release of a Netflix documentary on Epstein that was one of the most watched in America for a period of weeks. Dershowitz, in the course of litigation trying to clear his name, has access to some of Giuffre's accusations against other powerful people, which he decided to reveal. Some of the names are known to have been accused by Giuffre. One was not. Dershowitz's new court filings show that Giuffre alleges that along with Dershowitz and Prince Andrew, she was forced to have sex with former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, alongside prominent individuals like former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, former Democratic Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell, billionaire Thomas Pritzker of Hyatt Hotels, hedge fund manager Glenn Dubin, an unnamed foreign prince, an unnamed foreign president, and the owner of a French hotel chain, and lastly, Victoria's Secret owner Leslie Wexner. To be clear, this is an allegation. It is not proven. Nearly all of the men involved have issued a denial of either the specific accusation or having any knowledge of Epstein's predilections. But it is the inclusion of Barak and Wexner's name which raised quite a few eyebrows for those actually familiar with the Epstein case. Barak has long faced scrutiny for his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, with whom he had a business relationship. But did it extend far past a business relationship? Epstein's neighbors told the Daily Beast in August 2019 that he was known to have crashed at Epstein's residence in New York City multiple times over the years. They always knew it was him. They said it was the presence of security guards. And in case you don't believe them, this is definitive proof from 2016 showing Barak with his face covered up walking into Epstein's house uncovered by the Daily Mail. Barak claims that he was just cold when the photo was taken, but additional photos taken by the Daily Mail that day show several young women entering the residence after Barak showed up. Now, this is not a frivolous accusation. This is the former Prime Minister of Israel admitting on the record to have entered business arrangements with Jeffrey Epstein long after he was already a convicted sex offender, having been photographed at his residences and with neighbors saying he stayed overnight there often. It is with that context that we have to weigh the accusation by Giuffre against Barak and all the other men involved with Epstein who have so much to lose if the real story ever actually comes out. Now, other than Barak, the other name which takes on outside significance there is of Giuffre's accusation against Leslie Wexner. Those familiar with the case will recall that one of the suspected ways Epstein got his initial possibly ill-gotten millions was by obtained power of attorney over Wexner's finances in the 1980s. At the time and afterwards, many wondered why exactly one of the most powerful billionaires in America at the time would agree to give sweeping powers of finances to Epstein. There has never once been a clear explanation from Wexner as to why exactly he told Epstein, or he left so much power to Epstein over his life for so many years. Perhaps we just got a pretty good idea. So taken together, these accusations reveal a small glimpse, a tiny one, into the web that Epstein created and possibly used to ensure that some of the richest and most powerful people in the world, spanning several continents, for now have been ensnared. It's just a glimpse. Now, we won't drop this case. Not now and not ever. And, I mean, this was really bombshell stuff, Crystal, because we knew that Ehud Barak had been, slept over at his residence. He'd been photographed. I mean, he claims he's... Who wears a scarf?
It's cold.
It better be 20 below if you're wearing a scarf like that.
It's funny you see that and you're like, oh, that was not when the pandemic was going on. You got no excuse, buddy.
No, and actually his security guard who was right next to him, you can't see it in the photo, was not wearing the thing like that. So you know, if everybody's that cold, anyway.
When I'm really cold, I cover my mouth.
I don't want to get deep into that. What I'm saying is we knew many things about Ehud Barak. We knew that he had a business relationship with Epstein. We knew all this. This is the former prime minister of Israel, one of the most powerful countries in the Middle East, who is sleeping over at Epstein's place, who is taking his money, and now is being accused. Virginia Giuffre is a very credible woman. That is just established based on the Prince Andrew thing alone, based on the numerous photos of her with Ghislaine Maxwell. We know that, I mean, it's a horrifying story what happened to her. She was basically somebody who wanted to be a massage therapist and was roped in by Ghislaine and by Jeffrey Epstein in order to perform all these sexual favors for powerful people. She's one of the only ones who's been willing to speak up and out about the many of the people that she may have been involved with, not by consent, of course, but being forced to. So, I mean, do you see those names I listed? We're talking about former governors, Senate Majority Leader, billionaires. I mean, the former prime minister. It's absolutely crazy, and the Prince of the United Kingdom. I mean, all of this just goes to show, which is how much there was to lose, and how much Epstein, after he was a convicted sex offender, was able to ensnare all of these people.
Well, and that is one of the things that is really outrageous, is this was after that conviction.
2015.
Right. And so, what are you doing? What are you doing still having any kind of business relationship or other with this individual? And the other piece of this is Alan Dershowitz, not only was he accused, but he also was part of securing
the defense
that sweetheart deal down in Florida that may have violated, by the way, the rights of the survivors who were involved with this, because they weren't even told that a settlement was made.
That's in violation of law.
Appears to be in violation of the law there. He gets this sweetheart deal. He's on work release. It's like nothing. It's a slap on the wrist, and then he's able to just go right back to exactly what he was doing before. So, Sagar, help me understand, what are these legal filings? What are they in reference to? And is the idea here from Dershowitz basically that if he puts out, oh, she's accused all these people, is he trying to undermine her credibility, like she's just throwing around accusations at everyone?
Yeah, I believe the legal filings are in relation to Dershowitz and Giuffre, but I think he has access to some of her secret depositions, which had not come out. So what he wanted to show is like, look, he's putting, what he was saying is, look, she's accused all of these people. She needs to independently verify this, and this. And there's actually some decent evidence on Alan Dershowitz's side whenever it comes to his accusation. And so I want to be very fair to him.
And he has completely denied all allegations.
Denied it from the very beginning. Said he's never even met Giuffre before. So that I want to make that extraordinarily clear. But what he's done is he says he has accusation to Giuffre. Now, I personally think any accusation by Giuffre is something that has to be evaluated to the fullest extent because of the Prince Andrew situation, because he is an abject liar saying he's never met her before, whenever we know he was friends with Epstein, stayed overnight at his properties, and we know that he was photographed there with this woman who he now is like, oh, this is a doctored photo. That's just a fact. And this just goes, I think, to show more, which is that there's so much more that we don't know. Dershowitz claims that he also has a secret deposition, or he's trying to sue for access to Ghislaine Maxwell's deposition, or some sort of questioning which she once underwent. She, of course, has the real scoop and the details on so many others. And again, it just raises the question, where the hell is she? I mean, how is this person not locked up behind bars for the rest of her life, given what she did and allegedly did?
Instead, she's like globetrotting with a bunch of rich people hiding, hiding out of their houses.
We had the director of that Netflix thing on here. She said she might be in Brazil. She might even be in a country with no extradition, and that it's completely unknown as to what her whereabouts, as to what exactly she's been doing, whether she's cooperating. Prince Andrew has the hammer down. And again, on this story, nobody has any curiosity.
People don't want to touch it.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
This should be Bombshell.
This is crazy.
Especially, like you said, when you're weighing someone's allegations, and that's all these are at this point, and we want to be totally clear about that. But you're right. There are some reasons to look at Virginia Giuffre and see credibility there, because what she has said in the past has ended up looking like it was backed up. And when you look at that list of people, and you see it's not random, right? There are people here who had documented connections with Jeffrey Epstein, the fact that the media is like, I haven't seen a single story on. I mean, it's like totally undercover.
And it's funny because this was a big story in Israel, actually, at the time. Like the Netanyahu was using this against Barack and all this Barack and some of the parties there. But it's a legit story. There's no way that you can deny. I mean, this is the former prime minister of Israel. And again, this is actually another thing. People wondered for a long time whether Epstein himself had connections to foreign intelligence agencies. There was a lot of reporting in 2019. Now, I don't know, but it just seems like, how does he get control of Leslie Wexner's finances? It just seems that look, again, this is pure speculation on my part. I mean, I don't know. He said he charmed him and like all this. It just doesn't seem likely for you to be able to get that amount of control over a billionaire's finances. And then, again, Leslie Wexner, after this all, he's like, I had no idea about his predilections. Zero. Really? You had no idea?
His
None?
mansion, Epstein's mansion in New York, was purchased in a sweetheart deal from Leslie Wexner, way below market value. There's always been things like that where you're like, how
did this guy make his money?
Where'd the money come from? Why is this person basically serving as your patron? Like, what is going on there? And then there was also the question of how he was able to operate so long with impunity. One of the things that has been alleged, is that basically he had dirt on so many powerful people that no one wanted to expose it, right? No one wanted to take him down because there were so many other people that were implicated who had ties to the Democratic establishment, the Republican establishment, foreign governments, I mean, the rich and the powerful, and it was all this sort of carefully constructed house of cards that ultimately kept him safe and able to operate with impunity for years and years and years while he continued to victimize young girls.
Wow. Where is Ghislaine Maxwell? Join me in tweeting that out. All right.
Next on Rising, former Secretary of Homeland Security Tom Ridge explains why he is advocating for increased mail-in voting when Rising returns.